Welcome back to episode 48, Moose Knuckle Podcast. Moose Knuckle Podcast.wordpress.com, I believe. Or just Google it. You can find it. I know I said I was going to try and do them about every 2 weeks. But, what was I going to say? Oh, sorry, I'm doing multiple things. But, last week I was on vacation, at least from work. I didn't actually go anywhere. I was painting some stuff at my new house, and I just forgot, I guess, to record because I'm lazy. I say a lot, don't I? What was I gonna say? Anyways, yeah, painting. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Even though I can work out and do jujitsu and all that, or not right now, but in the past for a good amount of time a day, I figured out I'm actually a pretty lazy bitch. I could only do about 4 hours a day till I got really tired and just said, fuck it. So honestly, I mean, part of it too was motivation. I was like, ugh, I'm on vacation and of sorts. I don't feel like doing work. So basically, I worked a 20-hour work. No, 16. There you go. I'm good at math. But yeah, so that's why I'm off by a week. But I'll continue to try and do these every other week, I guess you could say. Every other week. But nobody's listening, so it doesn't matter. So, don't have too many notes this week of stuff to talk about, but I don't know, this is a completely pointless one, but I was just thinking, really, it's kind of an odd phenomenon, the way toilets are shaped and how they work. Because I was thinking, who really sits all the way back on the toilet seat? You don't. I mean, I understand it has to be round. Well, I guess it doesn't have to be round. It could be a different shape. It has to be an enclosed structure because you have water in there. Obviously, if you're taking a shit, something like that. But who really uses all the space on the toilet seat? I don't think most people do. I think a lot of people almost just sit on the edge of it, like halfway back, so it's almost half the toilet seat is just wasted space. Like, even if you're a big fat guy, really, everything's not sitting on the toilet seat. It's kind of around it, you know what I mean? But we do need some big toilet bowls, I guess, because we're pretty terrible in this country, and, you know, we could fill them up pretty good. I don't really know where I was going with that. Just an odd thought, wasted space, toilet seats. Somebody email me. Maybe you have a more efficient design. Maybe we could almost, I don't know how that would work. Like, it's still a bowl, but it's tinier. But you just so it's a combination, like it's a bowl. I think almost like a large cereal bowl. But it wouldn't be that thin. You'd have like a brim though that you could sit on. And you just kind of put your asshole right in that thing, and then you'd have stirrups, like the women, you know what I'm talking about, like a OBGYN, and then, sorry, I hear some feedback. That might just be in my headphones. And then the stirrups kind of hold you up in a, like, crunched knee position, I guess. Because supposedly you can go to, I think it's called not Squatty, or is it Squatty? Yeah, squattypotty.com. And when you sit, it's like this little stool, and it brings your knees up. And it's supposed to help you go to the bathroom better somehow. I'm not sure. But I figured let's just use more efficient space, a little tiny bowl, and then get some little feet rest things that kind of push your legs up in that position. And then, but I didn't think about that because most people piss too when they take a shit. Maybe there'll be like a piss hose that you have to connect if you need to pee. I don't know. I'll work it out. I'll figure it out eventually. Just saving space. That's what I'm doing. Alrighty. What would it do? Oh yeah, don't you know? So I don't know. I was watching something about the presidential election stuff. I don't remember who they were talking about, because obviously they've been trying to imply somehow Bernie Sanders was racist, saying mostly only white people vote for him, I think. And obviously Trump said some racist shit. I don't remember which one made me think of this. But we always think about racism in a bad way, but there is almost not reverse racism. Oh, I mean, it is reverse racism, but it's not like when people think reverse racism, I don't know. It's like it's basically still racism. But when I'm thinking of it in terms of like you have a stereotype of an ethnicity in your head, and when someone doesn't fall into that, it can be bad. Like, say when you go to an Asian restaurant and someone told you about it, and they told you it was supposed to be like pretty authentic, you know. Brain fart. I don't know what the fuck I was talking about. What was I gonna say? Pretty authentic, whatever. So you just thought it was gonna be very authentic, you know, original to whatever type of food you were going to get, you know, Asian, Mexican, whatever else it might be, you know, Brazilian steakhouse, something like that. And there are exceptions, but in a lot of places, or not a place, a lot of times, if you went there, there's like a hierarchy. Like first, like if there's just generic white waiters, that's like the lowest. Like you're just gonna assume, like at Olive Garden, you don't go to Olive Garden and then you gotta wait, just some generic white dude or chick who's your waiter, and you're like, oh, this is gonna be pretty authentic. No, you never think that. But then there's the step up. Like you go to let's just say like a Korean barbecue place, and your waitress comes over and she is Korean. Well, most people wouldn't know. Let's just say she's of cannot speak Asian descent of some type. And you're like, all right, here we go. But then if she starts talking and it's perfect English, there's a little party that's disappointed. Damn it, I hear that fucking feedback again. Hold on. It's got to be just the headphones. Hopefully it is. There's a party that's a little disappointed. You're like, what the fuck? No goddamn accent or broken English. And I'm saying that's the third tier. That's when it's legit. Because think about this. If you just go somewhere and some old Asian dude, I don't know why I keep going to Asian, whatever. But some old Asian dude walks out, super thick accent, broken English. You have a hard time giving him your order. And like there's part of you, you have a hard time giving him your order. Like you want something that's just a little bit different, and you say like, oh, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like, oh, you want the sweet and sour chicken, but you don't want the onions in it or something like that, right? So he says, yes, sweet and sour chicken. And you say no onions. He says sweet and sour chicken or something like that. And you have this little back and forth, and you have a good feeling that you're still going to get the onions in your chicken, but then you also know it's going to be really well done because he's not even concerned enough to learn the fucking to learn English well enough to understand what you don't want, because he knows it's going to be so good besides that. Like, there's part of you that wants that experience because you're like, all right, I know the food's going to be good. It's going to be better than the aforementioned, God damn it. Hold on one second. I hear it again. Olive Garden. That's what I was going to say before I pause it. Hold on. All right, I think I got it fixed. But that was basically it. Certain situations where fitting a stereotype is actually what you want. It makes you feel more comfortable. It makes you feel like they know what they're doing better. So the last thing I was going to talk about was I got into a situation where I was a victim of, I guess, I don't know if there's different levels, but I'd say it's kind of mild identity theft. Basically, my employer gave my, not just mine, the whole company's W-2 information to someone through a phishing scam. Phishing scam, if you don't know, is they'll in our case, they were emailing someone within the accounting department, I believe, depending, they were somebody else higher up in the company, and they needed this information. And they got it. But anyways, they filed my taxes, obviously to try and get the money, the return money. So now I have to do a bunch of bullshit that has to do with that. I was super pissed and spent hours like calling these places, checking, putting like a credit freeze on. I had to do a online identity theft thing. I had to call the IRS. Sorry, I kept burping. Had to call the IRS numerous times. That's always fun because everyone who works there is super stoked to be working there. So I was just super pissed. Had to study for a test too, like the next day, and just it was a shitty 48, 72 hours, something like that. I got done. Pretty sure I failed the test, so I was pissed about that. Just shitty overall few days. And I gotta stop doing that too. Not the and part, but Vice has a new channel, Viceland. So I set it to record a couple different shows, or I guess a couple different series or settings. Series recordings. Different shows I'd want to watch. One of them was Vice Essentials. And I believe the individual's name was Hamilton Morris, and he was going somewhere in the Amazon. I don't remember. He was kind of he's in a specific area where a couple of countries meet up along the border. I would think it was Brazil and Peru, but I could be wrong. And anyway, so he goes into the forest, does this experience, blah, blah, blah. And then I was watching it because it was about an hour and a half long with commercials. It kind of hit me that I'm just thinking about myself and this identity theft thing. I mean, it's hard not to in this situation. You know, how this could potentially affect me and blah, blah, blah. You know, someone pretending to be me. But then I'm looking at this dude in the jungle, right? I don't want to be that dude, but it occurred to me, as far as the United States does things and is concerned how we do things, you know, social security number, records, blah, blah, blah. That dude doesn't exist. He's not a person, right? But he's still alive. Still kicking, still going. You know, his life, I'm sure somehow with the government, he has something that makes him exist. So if someone stole it, he wouldn't even know because he's out in the jungle. So it just made me think, something terrible could happen. It could, I don't know what. Could somehow lose all my money through this. They fake me, take out a bunch of loans or something, and it takes me years to recover, blah, blah, blah. But I'd still be alive. I'd still be going. It wouldn't stop me. It just kind of left me in that moment. I was like, look at this fucking dude in the jungle, right? He has far less, as far as the United States is concerned, in his life than I have. And this dude was in his 50s maybe, than I have at 30s, so he's 20 years older than me. So I'm like, it just kind of left me. I was like, I'm going to be all right. I can't explain why seeing a dude in the jungle and how it really relates to identity theft. But it made me feel like I was going to be all right in a way. I was like, look, there's different levels of living. Don't worry about essentially a made-up construct in a way, Fuck up my credit? Yeah, that would suck. But in a way, that's kind of made up. I mean, it is real in the sense that we all have to deal with it. But I'm going to be all right. I'll try and come back to this another time. Maybe I'll actually try and sit down and write something out, but I just can't explain it. I just saw this guy. He was at peace in the wilderness, doing his thing, and I was like, I'm going to be all right. I don't know how or why, but I am. That's all I really got for this week. Moose Knuckle Podcast.wordpress.com. Tell a friend. I don't know. You want to chat with me directly? You could send us an email. It's on our website. I think it's mooseknucklepodcast@gmail.com, but either way, it's on the WordPress site. Subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher. I forget how we're at. I don't think we're on SoundCloud. Maybe I should get us on there. Try and figure out how. Well, until next time, have a good day, night, evening, weekend, whatever. Later.